trust that you've been enjoying these lessons that are part of Module 1, which is called Torot and is also called Pasuk Analysis, where we take one verse of the Hebrew Bible at a time and we apply a variety of the 16 essential drills, which are really the secret sauce to my program, which has been designed to accelerate people's Hebrew education. Let's turn to our lesson placard today. Chosen to show you drill number 7 again. This is called discerning Shewa. Is it vocal? Is it silent? This is perhaps secondary to the Dagesh, decoding Dagesh. Is it strong? Is it weak? This is another major area that trips up new students and even intermediate students. There are so many people that have studied the Hebrew Bible, been working at Hebrew for many years, that do not understand the Shewa. And they may get it right 50% of the time, 70% of the time, but they never take an attempt to really learn the rules that govern Shewa. And I've taught you 7 rules. There's more like 9 or 10, depending on how you count them. And the others I haven't covered just because they're rare enough that you hardly ever see them, and we may not have the opportunity in Genesis chapter 12 to actually see the usage or the appearance of some of these rules coming into play. So we're still camping out on Genesis chapter 12, verse 10, discerning Shewa, vocal or silent. Let's jump into our lesson today. So here's a picture of your practice verse. I would encourage you to go ahead and pause the video if you have not yet printed that out and get a copy of that. How this is supposed to work is that you print out the practice verse and then you listen to the lecture. When the lecture is over with, take the time to perform the drill that I've just taught you on your practice verse with pens, pencils, highlighters. And once you're done, you click on the answer key, which is right below the video. There's a link that will always say answer key or student answer key. Click on that, it'll open up a PDF file and you can compare what I've done with your homework assignment and see how you did. See if you get anything wrong, see if you get 100% right, just where you stand. And I would definitely encourage you to pursue the correct answers. If you do get some wrong, you should be really taking the time to dig into that. A lot of people will not follow this advice at this point because it's like they're tired of it, or it's just not worth the effort, they think. But the fact is that going the extra mile, if you were to follow my advice and actually dig for the correct answers, let's say that you couldn't find the correct answer, you got it wrong, you weren't sure why you got it wrong, I'm making myself available for those that are on the standard and ultra subscription levels. You can contact me. So really, you've got no excuse. And this will really help you by nailing down what it is that you got wrong. Just making the extra effort to do that, it will make a huge difference in your Hebrew education. That being said, I'd like to take the time here to do some reading. I realize that the practice verse I have not divided up into puzzle segments, but that's okay. I'd like to just take a moment to read through the Pasuk. The more reading that you can do, the better. So you want to expose yourself to Hebrew reading, even if it's just a little bit. You want to do it every day. And it's okay to take off a Shabbat. Some people actually like to spend more time studying biblical Hebrew on Shabbat because something about that seems very appropriate. But I'll leave that in your hands. So let's go ahead and read the pasuk together. First segment says, "Vayhi ra'av ba'aretz." Next segment, "Vayera Avram Mitzrayma, Lor Sham, ki chaved hara'av ba'aretz." Okay, read it again. "Vayhi ra'av ba'aretz, Vayered Avram Mitzrayma, Legor Sham ki chaved ha'ra'av ba'aretz." Okay, great job. Give yourself a pat on the back. I'm going to dive into our Shewa lesson at this point, and I think the best way is just to really show you the answer key, as opposed to taking lots of time and doing this incrementally, just one Shewa at a time. There aren't many Shewas in this passage to begin with, so here's the answer key. Let's go ahead and count the Shewas. As you can see, the Shewas are all highlighted in yellow, and that is one part of the assignment. You are to take the time to get your highlighter out. And this is like testing you. Do you know what a Shewa is? Do you know what it looks like? Can you identify it? Can you identify it from other things that look just like a Shewa, but they don't appear beneath words, they appear above words? And I'll offer some comments on that one example that is in the red box in a moment or two. But as you can see, I have highlighted, if we count them, there are 2 highlighted shvas on line 1. There are an additional 2 highlighted shvas on line 2, and that's about it. That's all she wrote. And then we have what looks like a shva that appears on the top of the word sham. Now, the word sham means there. And I like to remind people who are familiar with the celebration of Hanukkah. We play a little game every year when Hanukkah comes around with a dreidel. It's the dreidel game. And there are Hebrew letters on the dreidel that represent a Hebrew phrase that commemorates the great miracle that took place in the days of the Maccabees, the multiplying of the kosher olive oil that was used to light the Ner Tamid, the eternal lamp, the menorah. And the expression in Hebrew is Nes Gadol Hayasham. A great miracle happened there. And so this is the same exact word sham that occurs in that phrase, Nes Gadol Hayasham. And so we have here what looks like a shva on top of the shin, but it is not a shva. And you want to take note that though it looks like a shva will never appear on top of any letter in the Hebrew text. That this is not a vowel. This is, in fact, a Masoretic diacritical mark, a cantillation marker called Zakef Catan, little Zakef. And it is an indicator that you are to pause. It's a disjunctive marker. You're to interrupt the reading in a slight pause before continuing on with ki chaved. Okay, that being said, let's go ahead and address the highlighted shvas that occur in this verse. S1, the S stands for the word silent, because that's one of the questions we're supposed to be answering this assignment, is regarding each and every shva. Is that shva, is it silent? Is it vocal? And I want to know why. I want to know why you think. Now, this is going to be a really easy assignment because as you notice, every one of the shvas has been tagged with an S in a number 1. And so the number 1 refers to the rules of shva and to rule number 1. So really, there's only one rule we need to spend time on in this particular lesson. So this is going to be a very short lesson. So the question is, what is rule number 1? Rule number 1 simply states that whenever you encounter a shva, you want to take a look at the vowel that occurs beneath the preceding consonant. So the consonant that comes right before the letter that has the shva beneath it. Another way of saying it is you want to examine the vowel that comes immediately before the shva. And if the vowel is long, the shva is going to be vocal. If the vowel is short, it's going to render the shva to be silent. That being said, this particular example, we would pronounce this word vai, he. 2 syllables, vai, he. I'm going to draw your attention to some additional links that appear beneath the lesson. One is for the 7 rules of shva. Another one is for a complete vowel chart. I'm not going to go through all of these. We've done this a number of times in previous lessons. I just want to draw your attention to S1. So the first number of rules have to do with shva being silent. And as you can see, it says in rule number 1, a shva is silent when immediately preceded by a short vowel. So if you don't know what a short vowel is, there's no condemnation, but that's why I have included the vowel chart. So all you simply need to do is have your vowel chart handy whenever you do a lesson pertaining to shva, and you'll be able to tell that regarding the example I just showed you, patach is in fact a short vowel. And I want to encourage you in something. For many, many years, until not long ago, I was actually bewildered by why did they call some long and some short, and there was really no rhyme and reason, because I noticed that some of the vowels that were called short are like hirik. Hirik is short. And in English, the E sound is long. And so it was completely confusing. Like, I don't understand how this works. And so finally I discovered that there really is no rhyme and reason, that there are just classifications that had been made in the past. Who knows who made these classifications? Grammarians, sages? I have no idea, but there's really no easy way to differentiate between the two. You simply need to memorize it. So you simply need to appeal to the chart, memorize it. I know that may not be very encouraging, but until it's committed to memory, at least you have a tool. You can simply glance over at the chart and like, oh yeah, that's a short vowel. So the shva will have to be silent in this case. Let's jump back to our answer key. Already covered this one. They're all going to be the same. So every one of these words. So the name of the patriarch is Avram, 2 syllables. Shva is preceded by a short vowel, rendering the shva to be silent. Now I want to mention there is an exception to the rule. Sometimes you can have a short vowel that precedes the shva, and you think that the shva should therefore be silent, but if the shva happens to have a dagesh, we know that the rules of dagesh say that if a dagesh is preceded by a vowel, any vowel, that there's doubling. And so that forces the shva to become vocal. And I'll explain this. Now, understand the word of Ram, the shva is not vocal, but I'm just giving you an example. If there happened to be a dagesh here, it would be a 3-syllable word, and it would be pronounced ab, ba, ram. The dagesh would create a doubling, a gemination of the bet, which really tells us that there would be 2 bets. And so the first bet ends the first syllable, ab. The second bet begins a new syllable with a shva beneath it, be, and then the third syllable is ram. So see there that in an instance like that, rule number 1 would actually be trumped by a further rule. And I realize that may seem a bit confusing. You will get used to it in time as you practice reading and you practice doing these homework assignments and you stick close to the answer key. Okay, moving on to line 2, we have the exact same thing. Silent shva, silent shva. So both of these shvas occur in the same word. So this is the word that we get the word for Egypt from. Mitzrayim is Egypt. This is Mitzrayimah. It's a hay of direction at the end, to Egypt or toward Egypt. So the first shva is preceded by a hirik beneath the mem, rendering the shva to be silent. Second shva is preceded by a patach, right here, rendering the second shva to be silent. It would be different if the shvas were back to back, like one after another, than the second one. And the second one would be vocal based on certain rules of shva. When 2 shvas go for a walk, the second one likes to talk. Isn't that a great rhyme? So there you have it. So that covers the lesson on shva. I'm going to cut this short, make it a short lesson so I can jump into filming the next lesson, which we will be dissecting the same verse and translating it and doing a little bit of more reading practice. We'll see you on the other side. Erev Tov.